There is a specific kind of gravity that exists only at 3 a.m. It forms a psychological vacuum where global, impersonal anxieties compress directly into the quiet of a kitchen. Outside the window, the city holds its breath under a sky heavy with unspoken shifts. Massive, invisible engines of geopolitical power are constantly churning, threatening the seams of our connected world. This topological map illustrates the mechanical consequence of that tension. When lines on a map redraw themselves, the established physical pathways connecting one node to another instantly snap. We hear the degradation of this infrastructure directly in our hands. A long-distance call from a brother becomes a fragile thread of static. The voice cracks over a poor connection until the promise of return is swallowed by failing signals. This creates the condition of the almost lost. It is the slow erosion of a promise unkept, a bridge left half-built across oceans as the silence stretches into winter. In isolation, waiting extracts a physical toll. The body demands an outlet, forcing you into repetitive, tactile motions, like the whispering drag of a pocket knife against a whetstone, its edge catching the weak bulb's glow as the anxiety sharpens. When macro-level forces dictate that maps can be rewritten overnight, physical geography loses its utility. Locations on a globe become fragile, unreliable places to anchor a sense of self. To cope, you seek grounding in immediate proximity. You listen for footsteps in the hall, grasping at mundane shared experiences, a quiet nod and a muttered complaint about the heat to a passing neighbor. Displaced individuals instinctively build microcultures out of these brief encounters. A quiet ni hao slips out unbidden, followed by a shared sheishe for the hallway light. Fragments of old travels are used to stitch the world smaller, but the relief of these neighborly gestures is brief. Back inside the room, the radio continues to spit static, feeding the overarching tension of the outside world directly into the room like smoke. The mind attempts to escape by wandering backward. It conjures the memory of tending rich soil in a father's garden, a tactile counterpoint to the faint scent of rain on a sterile concrete balcony. In the absence of a permanent geographic home, we default to immediate physical proximity. We cobble together shared habits with strangers to stabilize our immediate reality and keep the walls from closing in. As displacement stretches across years, the mind begins to cycle rapidly through 5 universal concepts of endurance: water, brother, friend, gratitude, and home. This branching diagram tracks the psychological root system of those concepts. Invoking the Tamil ama, or the Spanish hermano, anchors an individual to the idea of unbreakable bloodlines, defying oceans of physical distance. To soothe fevered thoughts, the brain summons water. It cycles through the Hebrew ma'im, the Arabic ma, or the Russian voda, to lower the internal temperature. For endurance, we call on the German Freund and the Japanese arigato. These words function as markers of loyalty, bonds tested by roads and hardened by the effort of surviving them. Finally, the mind searches for shelter. The Korean jip, the Persian kane, the Urdu gar. These concepts represent physical walls and roofs slowly fading into mere echoes. These fragments collide in the mouth. It is a catalog of linguistic remnants, gathered not for worldliness, but out of a desperate need to find a single entry point back to what was lost. Eventually, the night hits its breaking point. The edge gleams, the breath catches, and the world tilts as physical tension peaks just before the arrival of dawn. In that sharpening hour, focus narrows to the microscopic, tactile artifacts left on the table. A single, flawless, golden drop of oil rests on the dark steel pivot of a pocket knife, a tiny, honest detail in a room of blurred edges. This microscopic moment of clarity exposes the fragility of our usual markers of belonging. Geographical structures and national borders are vulnerable to being wiped away by forces outside our control. Displaced individuals often find a more resilient anchor in acoustic memory. The ability to recall a specific sound becomes a functional survival mechanism when physical landmarks fail. Home takes on the shape of a specific, irreplaceable sound, a single voice saying your name before the line goes dead. We guard that acoustic memory against the finality of the dead line, the stretching silence where a connection cuts out and a person vanishes into the current of the world. When maps can no longer be trusted, these microscopic, interpersonal fragments become the only reliable data points. We are left to defend the voice on the other end of the line, because it is the only thing the shifting world hasn't yet managed to redraw.